Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with another Leagues of Votann video for the playlist. I promised you guys when these miniatures first came out, and Games Workshop very kindly sent me basically one of every single miniature in the range, that I would do a video on everything so that I would have a completed playlist. I'm still fighting my way through that promise, and today is no different. We are going to be doing the Thunderkyn today, which are the kind of large exosuit wearing heavy gun dwarves, if you know what I mean. If I'm being brutally honest with you, when I first saw the range of miniatures, these were the ones that excited me the least. But having built and painted one, it's funny how building and painting something can change your perspective. So now I'm actually quite pleased with them, and I'm very much looking forward to getting the other two built and painted and added to the collection. So stick around guys and enjoy the video. Okay, one of the things we're going to focus on a lot in this video is the idea of dressing the miniature. So we're going to start with the model. We sprayed it black and then we gave it a grey sear overcoat as per usual. And now as we start to apply the base coats, the first one being Space Wolf's Grey Contrast. The reason I chose the Space Wolf's Grey Contrast, the first colored in, it's the one that's like the deepest into the miniature. You have to bypass the most other parts, if that makes sense. So this is a kind of an old saying called dressing the miniature, and it basically means you paint from the inside of a model out. So the bits that's closest to its skin, and then you work your way, meaning it's going to get easier and easier to paint every bit that goes on top of that. And there's going to be less of you having to, guide a paintbrush with a fine tip covered in paint past parts you've already painted in order to get the paint where you want it to be. I don't know whether that made a lot of sense, but I think you guys will know what I mean. Next, we're going over to Blood Angel's Red Contrast, and we're going to apply this to all of the armor panels. This is one particular stage where I once again had to have the Games Workshop website open and the 360 of this, because I honestly thought this model had a lot more red on it than it does. It only has kind of like directional armor, so the left hand shoulder and the left leg have much more armor on it than the right. Obviously that's the way it's supposed to be looking, the way it's supposed to be shooting, so that's going to be the most protected. On the right hand side is obviously a lot less. So as I was going around, I was being very careful to figure out where the exosuit bits were, which are going to be silver, and which bits were going to stay the red, whilst simultaneously not hitting any of the Space Wolf's grey parts, which was all of that cloth, basically the undersuit of the model. Black Templar was then used for just two parts, his boots, his cool moon boots, and then most of the casing of the gun that he's carrying. That's literally the only two bits of black on this miniature. Once again, being very careful not to hit any of the other bits. Black will, of course, stain anything, and we don't want that on the red or that blue. It's bizarre painting a model whose feet aren't on the ground, they're a quarter of the way up his shin. Golden Flesh was used just to add a very quick base coat to the only part that is skin that is showing, which is his face. From here we have most of the base coats on. It's now just time to move across to the silver. And for this we're going to use Iron Hand Steel. Lead Belch will also work, any of the dark base paint silvers. And we're going to apply this to pretty much the rest of the miniature. So all of the exosuit parts, the bit that make this guy stronger, able to carry this large weapon, move faster, and avoid all that tough terrain. It's quite obvious which parts are meant to be silver, so just go through and get those very carefully base coated in. Once again, if you're not sure, use the resources you have available. Like I said, the Games Workshop website is a fantastic one, as they have 360-degree rotating images of all their models on their website. So this is great for looking at all those bits and pieces and figuring out what color needs to go where. With that last bit of base coating done, it is now time to wash the miniature. And for that I'm going to use Reikland Flesh Shade. That is the same wash I used for the entire rest of the Leagues of Votann army. And obviously I want all of the tones and color schemes to match and the models to match into the army perfectly well. So we're going to use the same shade. So there's lots of nooks and crannies, which is both good and bad. We want to get the shade into all those nooks and crannies, but we do not want it to pool in all those nooks and crannies and create a lot of staining or like big kind of blobs of paint. So just be very aware of that. After you've finished applying the shade all over the model, just pay attention to all those nooks and crannies and make sure you pull away any excess paint. While the shade was drying, I did base the miniature to match my Martian / asteroid ground color scheme that I'm using for my Votann. And now it's time to layer. And like I said, we're going to start from the inside and work our way out. So we're going to start with the fang, because we need to get in past all of the metallic and all of the red parts of the miniature. And if we make a mistake here and we need to touch up the silver red, it's going to be a lot easier than going kind of the opposite way around. If we had already layered up the silver and layered up the red, and then we were trying to get the fang past all those finished coats to get to the undersuit, it would be an absolute nightmare. Just very carefully get in and get all those parts done. And don't forget his little hat that he wears underneath his kind of night vision goggles. They're also the fang. Mephiston Red was used as the first layer for the exosuit, or the armor panels anyway, that give it that Ymir conglomerate look, and what I'm basing my entire Votann army on. We've talked about layering in pretty much every video I've done so far. The trick is to hit all of the flat raised areas of the miniature and leave any of the bits that are in the creases and the crevices, dark parts of the model behind guns, between legs, all those kind of bits that are going to not have a lot of sunlight on it. Leave those bits dark and shaded. All of the other bits that are pointing up towards the light is where we're going to hit with our layer. Like I said in the intro to this video, these are not a squad of miniatures that especially jumped out at me when I first seen them. But I don't know what it is about the process of painting a miniature that just kind of tweaks your brain. And all of a sudden I'm really enjoying the process of painting them. Looking forward to getting the other two in the squad done and seeing them on the tabletop. Evil Sunz Scarlet was the second layer red. And this basically follows the same rule as the previous one, but just less. So we want to leave a little bit of the Mephiston Red and a little bit of the shade and the contrast behind in the recesses. But only the most highest, that's not a great way of saying that. Only the highest parts of the miniature, the bits pointing directly up, should get a coat of the Evil Sunz Scarlet. Next it's time to move over to Corvus Black, and we are going to layer up the gun casing and his moon boots with that. Once again, very quick job making sure that the gun is nice and neat and tidy. There's no specific way to paint the gun. If you wanted to paint it red to match the armor, or like whatever different Votann army you're doing, you can of course do that. I like all the guns being kind of uniform and staying black. Ironbreaker was what I used to layer up the metallic parts, and as you can see, here's a great example of that. All you can see, I'm hitting the top of the pipes, and all the rest is being left in the dark, washed down silver. It's a great way to indicate the whole idea of the layering process. Whereas big flat bits like the energy clip for this rifle, probably cannon should be the correct term, is going to get a lot of silver. We're going to go in with white. Just get whatever pure white you have, whatever white you like using the most. And we're going to do all of the lenses of his night vision goggles and the energy parts of the rifle. And obviously these models have an option of 3 different guns, and I'm only going to show you how to paint the one here. But all of the same principles apply. Black, silver, a bit of energy showing through. It shouldn't be that difficult to translate these colors over to whatever guns you like to look up the most, or like the performance on the tabletop the most, and do the same thing. So I'm going to feed the white through all the gaps in like the energy coils going down the barrel. And also the Iron Man glow in the middle of his chest I also did with the white. While the white's drying fully, I went for Cadian Fleshtone and had a very tiny highlight to his face. And once again, the layer is only on the raised areas, so kind of the bridge of his nose, top of his cheeks, top of his chin, his lips, forehead if you can see it. The rest stays dark. Talassar Blue was then used on all those parts that I hit with the white. So all the glowing lenses, center of the chest, and I actually did the entire energy coil of the gun. Obviously the bits that I made white were going to glow a little bit brighter, but the rest of the coil is going to be blue as well. Sometimes as you're painting you realize different things as you're going and you want to change a few things. So I hit the entire thing with blue. Then I went back in and re-highlighted that casing with a bit more iron hand steel, just to make the energy coils in the rifle stand out a tiny bit more. After that, stuck a transfer on his shoulder and called this miniature complete. Interesting design, a lot of fun to paint, and like I said, I will be painting up the other two on my streams during the week. Okay guys, and there we have it, one Thunderkyn ready to hit the tabletop. Of course, he's going to need his two other members of his squad to make that a reality, and I will be painting those up on my Twitch streams this week. If you didn't know that already, I do in fact stream on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday between 8 and 10 p.m. Irish time. So if you want to come hang out, get some painting done, and just chat hobby, that is the best place to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Make sure you give the video a like. If you have any questions about anything I did, make sure you drop in the comments below. I will get back to each and every one of you guys. If you want to support the channel, the two best ways you can do that is, one, hit that subscribe button. It really does mean the world to me. And two, check out my links to my Patreon below and get involved with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.